This is Andi Purewal for Boxing Social in association with Betfred. I'm delighted joined by Matchroom's Frank Smith here in Fresno. Frank, first and foremost, how are you?
Take two. Yeah. No, all good, mate. Glad to be here in Fresno. Lovely hot day. It beats London at the minute, doesn't it? So, although I'm not sure what we're going to do for a couple of days, there seems to be apparently there's an axe throwing place around the corner that we can go to. So we'll try that out.
I hope you're not trying to suggest something, Frank.
No, you might enjoy it. I mean, I'm going to go and give it a go, see if I'm any good at it.
Right, we'll see you later on. But let's get straight into it because I know I've only got you for 5 minutes before your car arrives to whisk you away. Mikey Garcia returns against Sandor Martin now. As I said to Eddie, probably not the fight you guys would have wanted, but we've ended up here now. So what should the fans expect from it?
Look, I think this is Sandor Martin's opportunity. Mikey Garcia, we all know what he's done in the sport and how much he's brought to the sport of boxing, and his position in US boxing especially. But I think Sandor Martin's got an opportunity to go in there and change his life on Saturday night, and this really would if he could get the win. So, by all means, Mikey Garcia is a favourite in the fight. We all know, can't hide from that. But Sandor, like I say, can change his life, go in there, get a win, and he then moves on to another level.
Probably have chosen a really bad place to do this interview, Frank, with us blinding you.
Getting a bit of a tan. Nice.
Obviously, if Mikey was to be successful on Saturday night, is it immediately looking towards a Regis Prograis again, or maybe if Josh Taylor was to vacate the belts?
Yeah, possibly. They're the fights he wants to look for. Ultimately, with what he's already done in the sport of boxing, the fact that he's still here and still wants to deliver, it's not about money. It's about, for him, is about just continuing that legacy. And there's many big fights out there for him, the names you mentioned there, and he's open to everything. He's always been open to looking at opportunities. So we'll hopefully keep working with him after this. Had a good, did the Jesse Vargas fight back in Dallas, and he's a real star of the sport. So let's see, big night on Saturday, get the win, and then big opportunities from there.
We'll touch on the undercard tomorrow. I'll definitely get you again, men. But just to move backwards to Purewal this past weekend, a terrific fight and terrific end to their trilogy bout. What did you make of it?
Yeah, brilliant fight. I stayed up. I just got back from Liverpool. I drove home, got back at 5 a.m, watched the fight. It was very entertaining, wasn't it? Props to Tyson Fury. Always delivers, doesn't he? He's time and time again proves people wrong. But Deontay Wilder as well showed why he got to the point he was, because he showed a lot of heart and guts in there. Really looked like he was out of it from 2-3 rounds, and to stay in there throughout that, and he took a beating as well, but also then managed to put Fury down twice as well. So great fight, great for the sport and great for boxing. It's what we need.
What was you making of seeing both of them down in the third and the fourth rounds, Frank? Because from then on, it was just even more dramatic than the first two.
Because you're just holding your breath, thinking anything could happen here. It's just one punch you're just waiting for. And I sort of thought it with Wilder the whole way through was, as in he could just he looked the whole way through like he was ready to go down, but showed a lot of balls and courage to stay up in there. And like I say again, Tyson Fury showed he had a game plan. Sugar Hill did a good job, and great fight. You were there?
I was there, thankfully, yes.
Yeah, no, you're everywhere.
I'm everywhere.
Everywhere. Vegas is slightly different to Fresno, but no, again, good for the sport of boxing, and it's what we need. And the heavyweight dust-ups continue. We've got another 2 years of big fights at least that we know we've got coming up.
Hopefully we don't need to wait 2 years for an undisputed bout, Frank. But just with Tyson, do you see him as the number one in the division now?
Yeah, look, I think you have to, based on performances of recent time. But these things swing quickly, don't they? But yeah, I think you can't take away what he's done, and then in 6-7 months it all resets itself, doesn't it? And they all have to go in there and do it again. So it's and there's some big fights in there. Joshua goes in against Usyk again, and Tyson likely against Dillian Whyte, and what a massive fight that would be.
Frank, DAZN pay-per-view. Now we've seen a survey come out from DAZN put out to the UK audience to see how they can improve, and now seem to suggest that pay-per-view may be introduced to the platform. I just want to get your thoughts on it. I've obviously spoken to Eddie about it. He's saying if it's to happen, it will be for unique fights such as a Fury AJ fight or White Fury, for example. Yeah. But I just wanted to get your take on it.
Yeah, look, ultimately, DAZN want to become the home of global boxing. In order to do that, in order to get some of the big fights, like Eddie mentioned, whether you're looking at that Joshua against Usyk, whether you're looking at Fury against Dillian Whyte, these major nights, that's something I'm sure they'll have to look at in order to make it commercially viable. And they want those big fights. So you see already what we've done within the subscription platform. You got coming up, you got Dillian Whyte against Otto Wallin, you got Joseph Parker against Eric Chisora. They're two fights that would have been pay-per-view at £20. They're as part of your subscription platform here, which is close to 45-50 fights a year around the world. So I understand from that aspect why they want to understand from the fans what they do, and they're always interested in the fans' feedback. But yeah, I think Eddie would have explained it to you, and to be involved in those major fights, you need to look at those opportunities.
Do you understand the fans' backlash though, especially when people, if they look back at previous Eddie interviews and previous comments from Joe Markowski? There was a tweet from DAZN saying they had no intentions of ever producing a pay-per-view platform. So do you understand fans' frustrations when we do see talk of one coming to fruition?
I kind of think, why don't you wait, and rather than jump to conclusions, wait and see what it relates to, So if we continue to deliver these pay-per-view fights that we would have done on pay-per-view as part of the subscription, like the ones I mentioned to you, that's great, because you're already automatically saving money there. But, if we want to see these major fights, and DAZN want to be involved with them, and that's the way it's going to happen, I don't really see. I just think people should wait rather than jump to conclusions. Everyone deserves an opinion. I'm not denying that in any way. But you can't have an opinion on something that you don't know any details about, is my thoughts.
Final one, because I know that Eddie's probably wrapping up on the stage and you have to shoot off, like I've said for the third time now. Kiko Martinez, Kid Galahad announced again a fight which received some negative reaction to. Just get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, look, Kiko Martinez, former world champion, he boxed on our show recently, and had the fight against Alpha Barrett as well. He's still a very active fighter, and again, people are welcome to their opinions. It's Galahad's first offence. I think it's everyone wants major fights week in, week out. And don't get me wrong, I'm sure there's bigger fights that can be made down the road for Kid Galahad, but it's a good opportunity, good fight against someone very experienced. He can go in there, and like I say, Kiko's been in there against everyone. He's been around for a long time, and I think we'll see a good fight. But you got Terry Harper on the card as well. You got Chris Billham-Smith returning on that card. You got Dante Dixon. It's a stacked card as well. So let's. I think everyone's entitled to their opinion. Understand that maybe some people don't like it, but I'm sure they'll tune in at the same time as well when it comes round. But many big nights to come as well.
Just a final one on it then, Frank. What does Kid Galahad gain from a victory there? Because when you look at the names who've beat him, Josh Warrington beat him 4 years ago, Carl Frampton 7 years ago, Leo Santa Cruz 5 or 6 years ago as well. Defeats stretching back. Scott Quick stopped him in 2 rounds just after Frampton as well. What does Kid Galahad gain from beating somebody who's suffered so many defeats against other names for such a period of time?
But I sort of think like he's gone in there against the names you mentioned there, against the best, and he didn't win, but he's put up a fight against them. Ultimately, I think in boxing, just because he doesn't have a perfect record doesn't mean there's not things, an experience fight there for Kid Galahad to take experience away from it. Any names you mentioned there weren't any names that you'd go, oh, easy fight. That's a touch fight. Kiko Martinez has continuously gone in there with great fighters, great names. And I think, you only have to look at who's a perfect example as well. Derek Chisora, for example. He's lost against the best, but he's still around, he's still relevant, and he's still got a big fight coming up in December. So I kind of think if you said 10 names there that he'd lost against who were useless, I'd go, yeah, I completely agree with you. But he's been in there against great fighters time and time again, and he's gained experience in all of those fights. May not have won, but he's won a lot of other fights. So I think there's an argument to look at it every which way, isn't there? Maybe they would have wanted Kid Galahad to go in there and fight, I don't know, who do they want him to go in there and fight? Lee Wood? Yeah. Maybe that's a fight for down the road. Lee Wood's got the Michael Conlon purse bid, which is coming up for the WBA title. But these are we're always looking to make big fights. This is a good experience fight for Kid Galahad, and we should see a good night on the 13th of November. Good to be back in Sheffield.
All right, Frank, we'll wrap up there just in case Eddie does leave you, but I'll catch you tomorrow and we will continue this conversation. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Can we do it somewhere with aircon indoors? Because my back's really, really hot.
Well, you guys decided to do it out here.
I know, it's lovely, isn't it?
Cheers, Frank.
Thank you, mate.